see with this actually is a pretty significant shelf cloud. It might look a little ominous on the west and northwest horizon of the sky, but that is a signal that we will have some strong and gusty winds associated with that thunderstorm, along with some very heavy rainfall. In fact, some heavy rain coming in now towards the Rock City area, along with those gusty winds. So let's go ahead and time out these storms as they are moving to the east at about 50 miles per hour. We do have a couple of outflow boundaries associated with this line of thunderstorms, and a lot of times when we see an outflow boundary get too far ahead of the line of storms, it does begin to weaken it just a little bit. But with those gusts that have been coming in, it's been able to maintain at least those isolated 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. So here we go. If these storms were to hold together and continue on their path, as they likely will, Pecatonica, you're looking here within the next 10 minutes. Rockton within the next 35 to 40 minutes. Rockford getting in here within the next hour. Actually think we could bump that up to maybe about the next 45 minutes. And Belvedere, once you get a little bit closer there between about 6:30 and 7 o'clock. Rochelle, you're not officially in that warning for Ogle County, but as that storm is kind of working a little bit more to the southeast on the southern flank of that, you could be closer here between about 7 and 8 o'clock. So again, new severe thunderstorm warnings coming out now for Winnebago, Ogle, and Lee counties. That warning goes until 6:30 here this evening, and that severe thunderstorm warning does continue for Stevenson County, Carroll County, and Whiteside County until 6 o'clock. So that is just for the next 25 minutes. We do have a pretty significant outflow boundary moving into western Ogle County, Carroll, and Whiteside County. With that boundary out ahead of the main line of thunderstorms, we could actually have some gusty winds on the order of 40 miles per hour before the actual thunderstorm does get anywhere close to you. So you could have some gustier winds out ahead of this main line of thunderstorms. But once again, we do have those active severe thunderstorm warnings. And as I mentioned, wind is going to be our primary concern with these storms as they are moving to the east. They're moving fairly quickly at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. Again, the structure of them not quite as significant as what it was when the storms were over northeast Iowa, far northwest Illinois, but kind of watching a little bit here of a bowing out structure, and we really have to watch where the outflow boundary is feeding into a little bit with this thunderstorm over southern Stevenson County, just south of Freeport. That could show an area of a little bit of an enhancement of the wind field there. So if we look at the velocity with these thunderstorms, this kind of tells us what we're looking at with respect to the wind speed. No rotation tied into these thunderstorms, just mostly showing more of a wind structure with this. In fact, if we look at a little bit closer here near the Freeport area, you've got a little bit of an enhancement in the wind, say from Florence to just south of Freeport, and also a little bit of a bowing out structure and an enhancement of the wind field there once we're getting in towards the Foreston region. So the potential is definitely there. In fact, just to the north and right around the Foreston region, and I'll circle that for you, we could actually have a little bit of a stronger wind now crossing over 26 and 72. So heads up there, that is going to be moving towards the Leaf River area. So again, if you are in this generally warned region, you want to make sure that you seek shelter indoors, away from windows. Really, the threat for tornadoes is fairly low. It is just mostly those strong winds that'll be coming in. And as I mentioned too, we might even get a stronger wind gust out ahead of the main line of thunderstorms as those roll in. If we're able to, let's go ahead and take our sky track. I do believe it is on the Freeport camera there out at the Park Hills Golf Course. Was hoping that maybe we would be able to get and catch that shelf cloud as that was coming in, but some heavy rainfall is also set to follow these thunderstorms as they kind of work a little bit more to the east. And again, these storms are moving to the east at about 40 to even 50 miles per hour. I'm going to change our camera just a bit here to look more towards the Rockford area and points off to the west. Was hoping we'd be able to get just a little bit of a shelf cloud structure with that, and you can see just a little bit of that kind of off in the distance. I know meteorologist Joey Marino, he is out. I'm not quite sure yet if we have him available on Skype. He's actually been out with these thunderstorms and was doing a Facebook Live with us here earlier. He was out in western Stevenson County, right around the Cedarville, Lena area. He has been quickly kind of racing off to the east to get out ahead of these thunderstorms. But let's pull it back to our radar. Let's look at what we're kind of looking at here with the storms entering into western Ogle County now. Again, heads up for you in Foreston, Polo too, just a little bit down to the south there along 52 and 72 or 52, I should say, kind of along 26. You've got a couple of stronger wind gusts that'll be coming in your direction. So for those that may be just joining in, I want to run down the warnings that we do have once again with these thunderstorms as they are coming through. Severe thunderstorm warning out for Winnebago, Ogle, Lee counties. That warning goes until 6:30. Stevenson County, you're underneath a severe thunderstorm warning until 6 o'clock. Right now, that storm is pretty much right over top of you, so you're likely getting some winds. And with these thunderstorms, as they were to the west of us in Iowa, we actually had some strong winds that were sustained even once the kind of initial line of thunderstorms passed, that were sustained still at 50 to 60 miles per hour. Might not necessarily see that with these thunderstorms, but we could have some gustier winds kind of tied into the thunderstorms even once that initial line or once that initial outflow boundary kind of passes through. So heads up, that storm not quite yet in the Rockford area or near Rochelle or Amboy or Dixon, but looking a little bit more off to the west, you likely see a little bit more of an ominous sky. Now, something that has kind of caught my attention with this thunderstorm is actually the little bowing out structure here moving into northwest and western Ogle County. So that does have my attention just a little bit for an enhancement in the wind field there in Foreston. So we might get a kind of enhancement of the wind, which again could produce some localized wind damage. And winds gusting to 60 miles per hour are going to be our greatest threat with these thunderstorms. So once again, kind of timing out the storms as they move through. And I know I might be repeating myself a lot, but we have people kind of coming and going. And I want to make sure that you are ahead of this thunderstorm, because we do have the potential of at least those 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. The storm has produced some wind damage in northwest Illinois, wind gusting close to 60, 70 miles per hour in Hanover, and then we also had that wind gusting to 66 miles per hour in Savannah. So out ahead of this leading line of thunderstorms, we do have that potential for those stronger winds. If they were to hold together, you're looking here at Mount Morris just within the next 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Rockford still again about 6:45 to 7 o'clock, and then Cherry Valley closer to the 7 o'clock hour. Same thing there in Belvedere, I think between about 7 and 7:30. We don't have a lot of wind shear in the environment for really these thunderstorms to continue to grow or produce a pretty significant wind threat with it, or a widespread wind threat, but more of these localized wind gusts kind of feeding into these outflow boundaries. So again, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning out. Does include the Rockford area here until 6:30. Same thing for Ogle and Lee counties. We're going to have much more information on our Facebook page here, and of course on our Eyewitness News weather newscast, I should say, excuse me, at 6 o'clock on WTVO. But if you are in the path of this thunderstorm, you do want to make sure that you are seeking shelter in the lowest level of your home, away from windows, because the 60, 65 mile per hour wind gust, that is going to do some damage, and we could very well end up with tree damage, power line damage in some spots. There have been a couple of reports that have been coming out in Iowa when the storm was a little stronger, and then those stronger wind gusts too in northwest Illinois. So the potential is there. The storm has had a history of producing damage, of producing those stronger wind gusts. So you want to make sure that you are seeking shelter with this storm as it is moving in. And like I said, we're going to have much more on our newscast on WTVO at 6 o'clock, and of course on our Eyewitness News Facebook page. But for now, I'll return you back to World News.